What if I told you that some of the wildest myths told around fires thousands of years ago turned out not to be fantasy, but real history hiding in plain sight? We like to think myths are just stories, dragons, gods, heroes, but archaeology and science have uncovered shocking truths that prove sometimes myths were memory. Today we're diving into 5 ancient myths that shockingly turned out to be true, and number 3 will completely flip how you see legends forever. Before we begin, hit that like button and subscribe if you're into the crazy overlap of myth and reality. Now, let's unravel the past. 1. The lost city of Troy. For centuries, Homer's Iliad was treated as fiction. Professors in dusty libraries said Achilles, Hector, and Priam were no more real than superheroes. A beautiful queen stolen, 1,000 ships launched, gods meddling in battles, surely just epic poetry. But in the 1870s, a German businessman turned adventurer named Heinrich Schliemann set out to prove the world wrong. Armed with Homer's text as a treasure map, he began digging at Hisarlik, a hill in modern-day Turkey. What he uncovered shocked the world. Beneath the soil were massive stone walls, layers of ancient cities built one atop another, and most importantly a city that had burned violently around 1200 BCE. That city, today known as Troy Seventy, matched the timeline of Homer's epic. Archaeologists later found spearheads, arrow points, collapsed fortifications, and traces of fire. Even more compelling, ancient Hittite tablets mentioned a place called Wilusa, which sounds an awful lot like Ilios, Homer's word for Troy. They also referenced conflicts with a group called Ahiawa, almost certainly the Achaeans, the Greeks. So while Homer exaggerated with gods and 10-year duels, the bones of the story were real. There was a Troy, there was a war, and there was a city reduced to ash. What was once dismissed as pure myth turned out to be one of the most explosive archaeological confirmations in history. 2. The Great Flood. From Noah's Ark to Mesopotamia's Gilgamesh, to flood myths in India, China, and even Native American traditions, the idea of a catastrophic flood is nearly universal. For centuries, scholars assumed these were just symbolic metaphors for cleansing, rebirth, or punishment by the gods. But geology told a different story. Around 7,600 years ago, as the last ice age ended, rising seas broke through the Bosporus Strait and rushed into the Black Sea basin. Imagine a waterfall bigger than anything alive today. Villages drowned, farmland vanished, and coastlines were swallowed. Archaeologists discovered submerged settlements beneath the Black Sea, complete with walls and tools. Even beyond that, scientists have found evidence of catastrophic local floods across the globe, from glacial dam bursts in North America to sudden sea level rises in Asia. To people living then, it would have felt like the end of the world. They told stories. Those stories became myths, and those myths survived thousands of years. So when we hear about Noah or Utnapishtim building an ark, maybe it wasn't pure invention. Maybe it was memory, a cultural scar left by a real, world-changing flood. 3. The Minotaur's Labyrinth. The story of the Minotaur. Half man, half bull, locked in a labyrinth beneath Crete sounds like the definition of fantasy. A monstrous hybrid, sacrifices of young men and women, and a hero named Theseus, slaying it with the help of a princess and a ball of string. Pure myth, right? But then in the early 1900s, archaeologist Arthur Evans uncovered the Palace of Knossos on Crete. It was a sprawling, multi-level complex with twisting corridors, staircases that seemed to lead nowhere, and underground passages that felt like a maze. To a visitor, it would have been overwhelming, a real labyrinth of stone. The Minoans also had a bull cult. Frescoes showed young men leaping over bulls in daring rituals. They revered bulls as sacred animals, tied to power and fertility. Combine this bull worship with the intimidating maze-like palace, and suddenly the myth of the Minotaur doesn't look so bizarre. Instead of a literal monster, the Minotaur could have been a symbolic exaggeration of bull sacrifices and dangerous rituals. The labyrinth was real, it was Knossos. The monster was culture, ritual, and memory transformed into myth. 4. The Amazon Warriors. Greek writers filled their stories with terrifying female warriors, the Amazons. Fierce, independent, bow-wielding women who lived apart from men and fought with unmatched skill. For centuries, historians dismissed them as Greek fantasies, a way to explore gender roles or fears of powerful women. But in the past few decades, excavations across the Eurasian steppe flipped the script. Archaeologists found the remains of Scythian women buried with weapons, bows, arrows, spears, even armor. Many skeletons bore the marks of battle, broken bones, arrow wounds, and horseback riding strain. DNA analysis confirmed they weren't symbolic burials, they were real women, real warriors. The Greeks almost certainly encountered these nomadic tribes and transformed them into legends. To a Greek poet, seeing bands of horseback riding women armed to the teeth must have been unforgettable. The Amazons weren't fantasy, they were Scythian women, living proof that myths often grow from real encounters. 5. The sunken city of Dwarka. Indian mythology tells of Dwarka, the golden city ruled by Krishna. According to the stories, after Krishna's death, the city sank beneath the sea. For centuries, scholars called it metaphor, a religious allegory. But in the early 2000s, marine archaeologists diving off the coast of Gujarat discovered something incredible. Stone walls, streets, and harbor structures deep underwater. Sonar scans revealed geometric patterns and ruins stretching for kilometers. Artifacts dredged up included pottery shards, beads, and even tools dating back thousands of years. While it's debated whether this is Krishna's Dwarka or another ancient coastal city, the evidence is clear. Myths of a sunken city were rooted in fact. A thriving urban center did vanish beneath the sea, preserved in memory as myth. So, what do these 5 myths teach us? That ancient people weren't just telling stories for fun. They were preserving memory. A war in Troy, a flood that drowned villages, a palace so complex it became a labyrinth, warrior women who fought like legends, a city swallowed by the sea. Myths are messy, exaggerated, and often layered with gods and monsters. But underneath, they often hide real scars from history, scars archaeology, geology, and science are finally uncovering. The truth is this: myths aren't just fantasy. They're echoes of human experience passed down through story until memory becomes legend. And sometimes, when we strip away the exaggeration, what remains is history itself. So which of these shocked you the most? Troy's War, the warrior women, the drowned city? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Because next time, we're diving into even stranger myths that might be hiding history right under our noses. Because myths don't just entertain, sometimes they remember.